I used to come down here just to explore.
I know. This was like the coolest place to like... It was the most, other than Mitzi's office, the most like... The rarest of the places.
That reminds me of something we should talk about.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Comedy Store Doorcast.
Can I get it like a water bottle?
Yes.
Thank you, Tony.
Perfect.
People listen to this.
People listen and watch this somewhat. I've got a little group of guys.
I heard another YouTube podcast talking about the assault incident in the parking lot. Referenced this podcast.
Assault incident.
It's so interesting that we get heard of through other stuff. It's interesting, and that like I would think we're the first source for us, but other people talk about
got assaulted.
Haven't one out of
a paid regular who's also a bartender.
We've already litigated.
Oh right, I know.
Welcome back to the Comedy Store Doorcast. I'm your host Luke Schwartz. We got a bunch of OGs here today, and one walking in late because we have a hard out because these guys. I barely got all three of them here because they were the two classes above me. And
two?
I think so.
So you don't remember us as Door Guys?
We never overlapped. But to my left, Sandy Danto, and then across is Matt Edgar. Hi guys, thanks for being on. Shout out to our regular people, Big Bad Brad coming through, Mike Z and Shannon. Sounds like a morning zoo crew.
Is that your whole fan base?
No, that's like those are the guys who always come and they tip and they hang out and they're fun and they're good.
They're
and thanks
the people
for the sweet
that
potato fries,
care about
Brad. Appreciate that.
The origin, the lineage of being a door guy at the Comedy Store.
True, yeah. Shout out to Gino from Speedweed, always dropping stuff by, always showing love. I'm also recording this 2 days after, so I don't have tips yet, but I'll shout out tips next time.
Cool. I haven't done a podcast in a long time. I might be a little rusty.
When you were down here, what was this place?
This is where we used to do the illegal abortions.
They were all illegal back then, and they're now illegal again.
You got a license for a minute.
No, because you guys...
yeah. But it expired. Yeah, well, but only because of a clerical error.
Wait, they realized there's no actual doctors.
Yeah. Well, the first abortions, like the Underground Railroad of abortions, was like all non-doctors. It was just like midwives and stuff.
Oh, yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
You know, this place used to be like Polly's closet.
Yeah, it was like Polly's storage unit.
Yeah.
I would only ever see it open like during the day or like at the very beginning of
Well, there's like nothing
a
down
night.
here. It was just
No, I'll tell you this. There's artifacts. I used to come down here like Indiana Jones.
Sure.
Me and Tony would come with the flashlights.
Yeah. There was no electricity down here.
No, and there's like dope stuff. Like there's stuff from not only was
posters of special like Jackie Mason posters,
right. Andy Kaufman
stuff, but then like mattresses from Polly's house.
Dude, there was like a weird lost wormhole one time
Sure.
where I came in here and like I was digging through stuff and I found a Matt Edgar CD.
Really?
I didn't even know existed.
What?
Yeah, dude. Straight up.
Were you,
I was like,
one that you didn't
Were you
produce?
tripping?
No, I don't know where it came from. I ended up taking it.
What was on it?
It had been a belly room set. Yeah.
A film video?
Yeah, there was a picture. Somebody actually
It was a CD?
It was a CD in a case.
Sounds
somebody
pretty
took
seedy.
a picture of me. And it was probably from that spot, I guess. It looked like I was in the belly room. I had a vest phase for a little bit. It was actually great.
I remember the vest phase. You should revisit that.
I know. I've been thinking about it.
It's funny to think about the clothing phases.
Oh, I know.
Invested, yeah.
Do you think so? You got bootlegged.
I got bootlegged.
Do you think the guy who sells the incense was selling your CD? Very on brand.
Damn, very good call.
Signature bit of yours.
Maybe. I think that bit was on the album.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I remember at one point I was like, maybe I should just leave this here. And one day a future door guy would come across it. Like,
of course.
Maybe he could learn something one day.
Yeah.
No, this isn't that good.
Yeah, it was all kinds of cool, weird shit. And then like actual useful stuff. Like Paul, like staging furniture, like.
Did you ever take toilet paper?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We lived together.
Yeah. When we lived together, for sure we.
Where
did
did you guys live?
Sycamore,
we
baby.
lived on Sycamore in an apartment. It was like a rotating couch crew, but me and Matt had the bedrooms.
Yeah.
And there were other options, of course. Who was sleeping on the couch?
What did we call the beanbag chair that Tony slept on? It had a name.
Oh.
It was the name of the accountant here at the time. Because she was like a giant woman.
What was her name?
What was her name? And I don't know why we named
I
this
want to say her
giant-
name was like Ruth or something.
It was
like that.
Ruth.
Was it Ruth? Yeah.
But we knew the last name.
Shout out to Ruth.
It was like Ruth something.
Yeah, because she was the one who you'd go to if your check bounced or like if it wasn't signed or something.
I started right after your guys' checks stopped bouncing, but I only had one day of potluck.
When
ever.
were you a door guy? When
I
did you
started
start?
right when they made it not Sunday and Monday potluck.
Oh, that was awesome. I remember there was a point. I mean, I really wanted to get past, but when I was a door guy, I was like, why do you even want to get past? You get 4 spots a night here. If you get past that, you're only going to get like 1 or 2 because you did potluck, 2 nights of potluck, and then 1 or 2, sometimes 3
Check out the
belly
Door
room
Guys show
spots.
every Wednesday, 10:30. Door Guys show in the belly room. Get in free if you mention the Doorcast.
I think we threw the first Door Guy show. Ever.
We did. I
it?
produced it. The irregulars.
Oh, irregulars.
Yeah.
I wanted to
remember
call it
the not so paid regulars.
well, I wanted
Was
to call
that
it
Renton's, I think.
maybe. I wanted to call it the unpaid regulars.
We put on the first
Yeah, of
Door
course.
Guy show, and it was like tough to get because bringer shows when we were Door Guys, every night in the belly room, every show of the belly room, every night in the main room except for Saturdays. Saturday was the only Comedy Store brand show in the main room. It was the only opportunity comics back then could get a main room check.
That's wild.
And then the OR was just like no bringer shows,
But was
except
it
for
dead
once
in
in
the
a
main
while.
room?
Yeah.
On those Saturday nights?
Not Friday and Saturday, and some
No, dude.
Thursdays were busy
Decent.
in the OR.
Depends on when you're asking. So we get here in 07.
What did you guys work? Everything?
Yeah.
I started out as a video room guy because I got in through interning for Pauly, so I kind of got in through the back door.
Sure.
But Tommy, I'm not sure if you've discussed Tommy on here.
The old booker.
Told everybody, well, he's Pauly's spy. Don't be nice to him. And so nobody was nice to me. So in order to gain the trust and endear myself to people, other than giving away weed, which didn't affect everybody, so I just offered to pick up any and every shift that was looking to get covered.
Pretty quickly in
That
I
was
was
cool.
And then shortly after that, Matt started working here.
Yeah, and pretty quickly after I worked here, I realized that the best shift for me was the lot. So I just kind of stayed in the lot all the time.
I did the lot, but
Was it ever like busy in the lot?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
over the
yeah.
big-
It was
dude,
always
on,
really
like,
busy.
Sunday and Monday where there's no lineups, so any paid regular from
Yeah.
Comedy Stores Pass
Right.
will come through, and it would just be out to sunset.
Not only that, but I mean, it was. I don't want to say it wasn't glamorous to be a paid regular here because it was still. You could tell when you met comics at other shows outside of here back then that they wanted to be at the Comedy Store, but you're actively hearing themselves talk themselves out of it out loud by saying bad stuff about it. But then they'd be like, but you could tell they were like everybody wanted to be past here.
Yeah.
Part of the glamour of being past here was if you're a paid regular, you could just show up, park for free on Sunset, and leave. And that's what a lot of the guys did back then. Like, they'd show up, I'd be like, you have a spot tonight? They'd be like, nope. And they'd go to Katana or like Boa or whatever, some other like club on Sunset.
Well, you also got to know, like, back in our day, like, the store was not cool. It was cool to us, but like, and it was like the bottom barrel. Like, nobody, it was like it had happened already.
It had happened,
Embers.
but it was
Embers.
also dark. It had a darkness, and everybody in the industry just despised it. They didn't feel welcomed.
Yeah,
They
I guess
didn't-
there's bullying.
It was
A lot of
it was
bullying.
it
They
was
probably
like
weren't welcome. No one's welcome. You're talking about having to do all this like hard shit anyway. Like
Well,
no one's really. It's
that's true, but back then the door guys and the lock guys were truly mean.
yeah.
I
Yes.
was so intimidated. I mean, once you
yeah.
get to know them, they're not mean to you, but you know, when you show up here and you don't
feel
know
like
anybody
that
else,
to you guys, I feel like I'm a kind of an underclassman. Like I feel weird, like about reaching out to all of you. I was probably like a little too
Why?
like because you guys were like the upperclassmen. You just got
Yeah.
like
We're
you
all
were
like
you
the
had
same
been
age.
passed. Yeah, yeah. But I just like started in the scene a little later.
Benji Aflalo, everybody.
Hi, welcome in.
Hey guys.
What's up, Ben?
Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Sorry, the dog is sick, and
It's okay.
my lady gets worked up when the dog gets sick because
I'm
it's like
so
our
sorry.
baby, so I have to go with her to the vet.
Once you have a baby, you're gonna be like, the dog's sick again. Who gives a shit?
I know, but it doesn't help to tell her that when the dog's
Right.
sick and she's freaking out.
Yeah. The vet can do a whole lot when it just like puked from overeating.
Right.
You know.
No, it'll be like the dog's a little tired and coughed a little, and then it's like we're going to the vet.
Yeah. I don't even
quite
do that for my
precious.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a telehealth. If not, no big deal. Give them
Yeah.
Tylenol.
Yeah.
When did you start working? Who hired you, Benji?
Tommy.
Tommy hired you?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I met you on the patio. You told it was right after you opened for Bobby for the first time, and you were talking about doing mushrooms, and then you ran across the street like without even like ending the conversation.
Yeah,
You
that
just-
sounds like a
you
young
just
me.
ran across Sunset.
Yeah. That sounds like me.
You allegedly did a lot of drugs or what?
No, I didn't do drugs.
Oh,
No, it was like the first time. You,
oh, you
No,
just
there's
talked
a
about it.
there's
You weren't on it.
There was a ska show at the House of Blues. And
Yeah,
Could have been that.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I saw Real Big Fish. I've seen a lot of good ska
Oh, I
bands.
saw so
Yeah.
many good bands at the House of Blues
me
from
too.
working here.
Yeah.
Like you get that access.
You could just say, "Hey, I work across the street." They were, okay,
Nah.
come in. Yeah.
This is kind of ageist. Like you just put all the guys of our
Yeah, I
age
know.
group on the same podcast.
That's right. No, yeah. Can you sense a theme? It's a very special episode. Like I was saying earlier, like I got you guys here. Like I never worked with any of you.
Right.
On the did you ever? Where did you work a lot of the time?
I was a big phones guy.
I did
probably
phones
the
for a bit.
Phones like
You were mostly phones.
mostly
And cover
phones,
booth.
Not
like
the
4 to
nighttime?
5 times a week towards the end.
So you didn't do the nighttime.
No, I did. I think I'm pretty sure that every Friday and Saturday I would work phones and go straight through the night.
To the cover
sometimes-
booth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because
Yeah.
working phones then meant you were like timing the comics and
Right.
yeah.
Well,
you
I
just
can't
work
tell
into
Benji how I pocket money because he's a Jew.
There was also a phone shift where like you were picking up phones and the show already started. It was like a 2-hour shift that nobody wanted, but I would end up doing it. I like the phone shifts because you could hang out and
Can I ask you
smoke
something?
weed and
Jerk off.
Yeah, everything,
Yeah, you
anything.
could jerk- yeah.
Some porn because they dude, like a few months into working the phones, they brought us a computer and it was like game over.
It's funny that there
Hey,
wasn't a computer in there
Dean, if you need
before.
anybody to cover phone shifts, I'm pretty horny. So,
when we first got there, in the drawer there were VHS porn tapes that
Yeah.
eventually disappeared. I still have a picture of one. It was called like Anal Busters 2 or like.
Oh, yeah.
I set it to my friend's phone book thing.
that was
so
a
I
high
can
budget
still see it.
sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot
Well, the
of
first
that.
one made a lot of money.
First one, yeah. James Cameron did the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a TV in the phone's room that had like an antenna. Do you guys
Yeah.
remember? It was
Yeah.
like, and we were like so stoked when we got an antenna. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because I think for a while there was no antenna, and then like Burger got us an antenna or something.
Burger's a philanthropist.
Yeah, we got an
It
antenna.
was endowed by Burger.
Yeah,
You don't know Burger?
Don't think I know Burger.
Oh, man, you're really missing out.
I used to leave. I used to leave a bong in the phone's room, and at one point, Don Barris hit. Was it Jimmy Pitt?
Yeah.
Jimmy Pitt over the head with
Yeah.
No, nope, opposite.
Other
Pit.
way around.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
Pitt,
Don.
Pitt hit Don with a bong.
Right.
Yeah,
and
knocked
that's
him
why he
out,
got
dude.
fired. That was the demise of Pitt. Pitt was another door guy I was really intimidated by at first. Then I got to know him. I was like, oh, this guy's a puppy dog.
He threw a glass at me once.
I remember that.
He was trying to bump me in a Crazy Cindy show, and I was like, Crazy Cindy already said I'm going up Jimmy Pitt. And then he was like all pissed about it. And he was like, I've been here longer. I go up next. I'm like, that's not how it works. She picks, you know. And then so he was like, you're a spoiled Jew from Beverly Hills.
I remember that.
And I was like, what did I say? And I was like, and you're white trash from a broken home. And then he immediately threw a glass at me.
Proving the white trashness.
But he didn't even really he was on the clock
like
and
an
just
argument.
walked away.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he got in trouble, not because the assault.
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He wasn't at his position.
yeah,
But me and Pitt are all right.
without
was
telling anyone.
Do you remember the time we had a team meeting and then Pitt got on stage and quit and then
Yeah.
he told everyone that I was his favorite?
Yeah, dude, that was amazing.
And then-
that was like, we were like, wait, why is there a meeting for the
Right.
employees?
We were
Like,
the worst.
This isn't a
Yeah,
functioning
he got
business.
up on stage, quit, and then ended up working there another year.
Yeah, yeah. That was back in the day where you could miss an entire shift, not show up, and not get fired.
Yeah.
Unless you weren't well liked.
That was the very end of those days for me because Jared Levin would always just do that. And that was like we all had those guys who would just kind of not be.
Oh, we had a kind of a good brotherhood where like if somebody was gonna get laid and he was like, well, all right, I got you, bro.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it, like it was so loose, man. Like when hey, just clock me out later.
Our experience as door guys is much like our experiences in society as millennials. It's like we grew up without the internet and with it.
Yeah.
Here we're like a unique timing of this place where we got to live it, where it was like complete rubble shit. Nobody would come here. No stakes. We ran the place. We could do whatever we wanted.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, I Am Legend. And then we got to see it like Joe Rogan, all the famous people are back, like lines out the door, sold out every night, no more bringer shows.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of just like somewhere
in the
It's
middle.
back to where it was where Adam had it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Like it's good. Like it sells out most
I think
nights.
it's great. I love it right
In
now.
every room. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was not like that when we were door guys. There would be, like, I would do the Tuesday night OR cover booth often, and that was a rough night because
That was the worst.
Trippin' on Tuesday was like usually doing great in the main
That was
room.
the only show that sold well here.
So even if you came here and you saw this like bustling show in the main room and then a dead kind of original room, like even if you weren't there for like the exclusively urban comedy, you would probably still go to the main room. Just anyway. So Tuesday, three people.
Show.
Sometimes we wouldn't start the show on time. Argus wouldn't even go up. Argus would be like,
"Whoa,
all right, I'm getting out of here, guys."
Yeah,
and you'd be like, "Later,
it would be
Argus."
like 7 people, and it was unbearable for every coming. You'd see it on their face. Even Sebastian, I would like sit in the back of the room, and he would be up for like maybe 12, 15 people, whatever. And you just hear the band from the other room drown out anything he would say.
Yeah,
and
they'd
it
have
would
a
just
huge
be all
band.
mannerisms.
You know what it was like? It was like this, like there's barely anybody here. Nobody really knew about it. This is before social media, but it kind of felt like a secret. You know what I mean? But it was like a really cool secret because all those guys, they weren't famous, but they were still killing it. You know what I mean? Like Sebastian was great. Like all the guys, like Cap and Bobby and all those guys, like
Dove Davidoff was here like almost every night.
he was a cool
Brian
old school
Callen.
headliner.
yeah, dude, these guys were like fucking killing it, and nobody knew that this was going on here.
But when people would come and they would like it. Like when you would come here on a weekend, I feel like people kind of got it. But
Yeah, like a Friday,
those weekday
Saturday.
shows. were
Friday
very
and
rough.
Saturday
And-
nights in the OR were pretty packed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. But how often? Like, would checks bounce? How often? Once every so often?
I never had a check bounce.
Yeah,
I only had it once.
Yeah, I only had a
Okay.
few times. I think that's like kind of been
I
exaggerated.
think the guys before us had it a lot, and they only got paid $25 a shift.
it would be unheard of in this day and age.
Yes.
Oh, hell no.
Unheard of. Yeah, I feel lucky that. But when I started, there were minimums to start the show. You had to have 8 people in the OR. You had to have at least 10, maybe 15 people in the main room, and then like 6 in the belly to start the show. And sometimes like bringer shows didn't start if they were like young bringer dudes like couldn't bring people out. It was like the door guy got clocked in for 3 hours and then left and didn't. Like that was all he did.
I'm imagining when you say like young bringer promoters, it's just like a baby in a leather jacket.
He's
Like he's still learning
his
how to
hand,
manipulate
A young
people.
Martin
Yeah.
Harris, yeah.
Yeah.
Baby Vargas, sure.
It was cool watching those guys get famous too. Like our paid regulars, you know, like those guys are killing it now. Like everybody knows who they are. But I remember showing my friends from home, like Brody and like Steven Azizi and Ari. Like nobody knew these guys.
We used to have to sell them on the phone.
Oh,
so
yeah,
when
that
people
was a
would
big
call.
thing.
We all knew. We would be like, "Oh, we got Sebastian from Vince Vaughn Wild West Comedy Tour, Dove Davidoff from Comedy Central, so and so from blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that's
headliners blah 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 blah. Parking in the blah blah. Like I had my whole shtick down.
Yeah.
Leslie
And I-
Jones, she opens for Cat Williams.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody, none of the door guys do anything like that.
Great one.
And
I like that one a lot.
I don't like nowadays. No one says their name when they pick up the phone. We were all trained to say.
Oh, I ask. I'm like, all right, who is this?
Yeah, you're supposed to say this is.
Yeah, your comedy store.
Comedy
This is
store, this
Sandy.
is Benji. How can I help you?
One of my favorite stories.
And so
I told it
it's
all
so
the time.
annoying that they
I
don't say
know.
their
Dave
name.
Wade
Please.
picks up the phone. He goes, "Hello." It's like say so. You can't just, like he's at
Did
home.
I just call a residence? Is this the comedy
He's like
store?
a landline at home, like
That's
a
so
kitchen
funny.
phone.
I have a cousin who works for the family business, and that's how he picks up the phone. He's like, nepotism, hello, how you doing? I don't care.
Hey, what up, dude?
Hello?
You called?
Yeah, Tommy would be like, well, really sell them on the 15 headliners and don't mention anyone unless they ask who's on the lineup. And then here's what you tell them. And he would say, Pauly Shore pops in a lot. His mom owns the club. You know, all the famous people in order. This is how he trained me to do the phone.
Dude, there was a little bit of crossover when I got passed and was like able to like still work here for like maybe a month. Like they made me quit working here. And I had a few phone shifts, and so they'd call and like, "Who's playing tonight?" And I was like, you know, they give them the spiel. Oh, there's Whitney, and she's on this and this, and then there's this new guy coming up,
Yeah, of course.
Matt Edgar. I'm just saying, like this one sells the ticket. All right, like everything I just mentioned, I have to, but this guy's like my favorite. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
we were brainwashed into selling that show. And Tommy would always be like, well, Mitzi used to sit here so she could hear the phones guys selling the shows. So we were, it was like an art form.
Wow.
I had to make the
And we used
call
to
up.
fill out the thing.
Yeah,
Fill out ticket
Yep.
orders on a thing with credit card numbers and
Phone
everything.
is only lost and found now. Like if 9 times out of 10 it's a lost and found, and the other time it's one of you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what else? Door guys, or comics, I should say, they used to call the store during the day when they were lonely on the road and just talk to you.
Yeah.
I used to just
or
have
prison inmates too.
or whatever. All sorts of people would call old comics, and you would just talk to everyone. It was just
Yeah. I've made friends over the phone. Like, I remember one time a sidekick called, and there's this dude, Timmy. Fuck, what was that big old fat dude that used to work? He's funny too, man.
Tim Knapp.
Tim Knapp.
Really funny.
Funny dude. And he had a
Tim Knapp, damn.
he had a pill problem, and which I think kind of made him funnier. It was like it made me want to like
sure.
dabble. But he was
But he got skinny,
He's
by
gonna
the way.
listen to this. He's gonna be like, I gotta get back on pills.
So this dude called and he was sitting in the corner, and this guy was like, "Hi, so what's going on?" And we saw the show. He's like, "Here's the thing, man. I'm a psychic." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, prove it." He's like, "Well, tell your boy in the corner that he better stop with the drugs or he's gonna die." And the guy he stopped pretty quickly after that. Whoa. Dude, another time.
And then he started up again, but then he stopped
Right, no,
again.
that scared him for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
It jolted him. There's another time where there's this like pro wrestler that I really liked from back in the day. This guy, New Jack. And he was famous from wrestling because he stabbed a guy. Like he never made it like big, but like in the
That was
little
his
pro-
finishing move.
Yeah, he straight up stabbed a guy with a knife and then pin him.
Yeah.
And then, so this guy calls and I'm giving him he asked how to get on stage, and I was like, I told him about potluck.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, here's the thing. I'm kind of a semi-famous pro wrestler. I was like, what? Who are you? He's like, have you ever heard of New Jack? I was like, you're New Jack? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, didn't you stab a guy? And he's like, yeah. I'm trying to turn my life around.
So you want to help me get on stage?
Yeah, take a stab at it.
Damn, working the phone. I got the joke store call a few times. People wondering if we sell chattering teeth or like whoopee cushions or like
Yeah, at the store.
Are those
right?
joke
prank
store.
calls?
No, not all of them. Some of them are like, oh, okay. Like there's been a couple people meaning it, but I have gotten people calling, talking all crazy, doing accents and just like wanting to talk to people.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. I would get that. Yeah.
I would get the occasional like they thought they were auditioning call.
Oh.
Like they would call up and it would
Interesting.
start out like them asking about their phone and then or about the show and they would start doing bits. And I'd be like, what is this? If you want to sign up for potluck, that's the open mic. It's on Sundays and Mondays. They'd be like, well, I think I'm past that point. Let me give you another. I'm like, no. And I would just hang up.
Also, it was cool because like there was nobody else in the building. We had the whole comedy store to ourselves, you know, like it was just like this giant
Day and night.
playground. I'd go explore. Like the phones were slow. I would just go like explore because the comedy stores. What people don't know about it, like you know, we all know it was Ciro's, but
Yeah.
there's parts.
Anyone
of this-
listening, don't go exploring. Just take our word
There's
for it.
parts
okay?
of this building that haven't been touched since. Like you could walk into certain crevices and it's like you're in a different.
Well,
like,
legend is there used to be a tunnel right here.
There is in the back hallway. One time I saw there's a tunnel in the back hallway behind the OR,
Don't-
and one
yeah.
time I saw a little person crawl out of there, and then Duncan Trussell moments later crawl out and chase that little person. It was incredible. I thought I was on mushrooms for a minute.
Dude, I remember the first vagina I saw here. It was brought some like girl like in a dress, and Brian Holtzman was on stage finishing up the main
What an
room.
aphrodisiac.
And like I'm working the door in the main room, and this girl gets up on stage like while Brian's on, and then just walks past the curtain. And actually, Holtzman didn't really fire off too hard. He was kind of very like, "Oh, hey, all right,
Show me your shit, bitch. Show me your shit.
And then was like, "You got to go get her, bro. Like, she can't be back there." He's like, "That's your girl, dude." I go back there, and she's like sitting, you know, where they do the makeup, like in the all the way back
vanity.
where the toilet
Sure,
is, though.
yeah.
And it's like those bulb, like yeah. She's on that table, and like she's on her back, and her dress got like her heel punctured her dress, so it was stuck like this, and she's like, "Help me!" And I'm like,
Oh my
walking, I'm like,
God.
"Oh my, what? How is this fucking happening?" And then
And no underwear.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, and comes in, he's like, "I'll take it from here, dude."
Thanks for warming me up for her, kid.
Got it, dude.
I mean, it was pretty routine, usually late at night, for a young woman or one of the comics to expose themselves.
Yeah, I saw so much nudity in this building.
So much.
Back in the
So much that would be frowned upon, because a lot of the times if it was just dead and a bit wasn't working, someone would go behind the curtain through the front bar in the OR and just come out and put their like dick and balls through the break in the curtain.
Sure.
Or just come out with their pants off, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of times audience members would just come up and
do you remember
get like even after the like dark times, like there was a time when I used to bring the audience members on stage, and a couple times girls flashed the audience, but this was something that during Don Barris hours or whatever would happen all the time.
Oh yeah, Barris got a couple to fuck.
In the corner by the piano.
I mean,
yeah,
if he says it, it's coming from somewhere, and like he does the bit still because it worked at least once.
it has it maybe more than once, I think.
Oh yeah,
Right. I mean, he's.
But
done it
no
for-
one's ever made love on stage.
No.
During the show, at least.
yeah, during the show. It's all kind. I mean, dude, back then there was just no. I mean, we talk about cancel culture, like this. That's how dead this place was. Like we opened up the next day. Like,
Yeah, every time. If what happened back then happened now, this place would be condemned.
remember when that dude came in? Oh, bro.
We're gonna have to bleep
Okay.
a lot of earlier. By the way, I want to make a note about a couple minutes ago.
Remember earlier when it was like a time when this actor dude came. He was kind of famous. I don't want to say who it was, but I think we thought it was Ben Foster. It may not have been. When I look back, like I don't know why this guy would act this way. But he was in the showroom with a buddy, and they were like heckling me loud. So like we eventually kicked them out. And then like towards the end of the night, it was just us playing with Don. There's like no audience members, and they came stumbling back in, and Halpin got up to kick them out. And then it was a fight, like it was on, and people tumbled down the stairs. I remember Halpin like rolled his ankle and got like money for it and shit.
Disability.
But then PJ was there.
PJ and Davey, I remember this.
PJ and Davey, and then PJ choked the dude out. Cold to where like we had to pry PJ's arms off.
remember.
Eyes rolling into the back of his
and we
head.
let him go, and he just like clunk on
Hitting his head into the ashtray out there with the dents. That's from a guy's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ashtray is still there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
the dents are from a guy's head.
And then Benji went and locked all the doors.
I remember that.
Yeah. Every time something crazy happens here, I'm like, everyone in, shut the doors. That night I did it because I was like, if this guy is like dead or something, like, let's just at least shut the doors.
I remember his buddy came to, and they like stumbled away in each other's arms.
Yeah, he
definitely
was all right.
more embarrassed, or as embarrassed as they were hurt.
What I remember from that night is when he first got kicked out, PJ was on the patio yelling at him as he walked away, like, "Don't fucking come back here!" Blah blah blah. Like just like this miniature pit bull of an
Learn how
Italian.
to fucking act in public.
Yeah. Like he was already ready.
Don't do the bit
So when
on
that guy
Zoe.
showed up,
I don't fucking do cocaine.
The bit sucks. He sucks, man. Damn.
and then blowjob night, I also got the door shut.
Yeah, that's
Which was that with Dan and Ari?
Dan and
Yeah.
Ari. Yeah.
That night,
talk about nudity. There was so much nudity that night. There's
Oh,
nudity
yeah.
you guys didn't even know about.
Yeah, Goldfinger was just
well-
panicking, running around panicked, and I just looked at him and I go, Goldfinger, shut the door.
Yeah.
There's blowjobs on stage. Shut the front door.
So out of hand. Wait, remember the illegal gambling ring that we ran after hours?
was
That,
so
that was
fun.
part of the downfall of that was
Goldfinger.
the beginning of, when that got busted. That was the beginning of the end of this
Of good
place
times.
being as fun as it was, because that's when Peter really cracked down on everything and brought in new managers.
Yeah.
That's why
Stuff.
Goldfinger got fired. Yeah,
Right.
the consultant.
Who Goldfinger? I don't know this.
Ryan Goldfinger, great guy.
Yeah,
Manager.
He was.
I just saw him in New York.
Oh, really?
great
How's
guy.
he doing?
He's still a brother of mine. I love him. I lived with him in 2019 in
That
New
was-
York City.
That was one thing I could
yeah.
never understand why Madonia. Okay, this is how easy it was or so how difficult it was to get fired as a door guy. Madonia lived with us. He was a door guy. He accidentally scratched. Goldfinger just got this ridiculously flashy Nissan convertible in like bright yellow, and Madonia scratched it, but refused to admit it. And if he had just said, "Yeah, I did it," wasn't gonna have to pay for it. Wasn't going to have to fix it. No responsibilities. Just had to admit that he did it.
I think there was yellow paint on his car. Too.
Yes.
It couldn't be more clear that he
Would
was
not admit to doing it. If he admitted it and wouldn't have to pay for anything, would get to keep his job. Refused to admit it, got fired.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't.
So that's-
but like, you could openly hit a manager's car here and still not get
that was all
fired.
that Madonia.
Yeah, it takes about that much to get fired still. Like it's hard to get fired, but it's really hard to get hired now.
Sometimes they take your stage time away for a night.
Yeah.
And that would be a real
Yeah.
bummer. That would happen all the time because we were more rowdy and not following rules.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
I fell asleep during my phone shift and they took away one of my nights. I was pretty upset. Because the thing with phones is the phone rings, it wakes you up.
Yeah.
Where's the problem here?
rely on it.
How'd you get caught then?
Oh, they walk.
Mark walked in.
Oh, Mark.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
Mark was a stickler.
Yeah.
Even though his boyfriend always sexually harassed me. Always.
Yeah.
Mark was a manager, day manager.
Yeah. Big gay Mark.
Big game Mark.
Wow.
Was a clown, right? He was
Yeah.
a clown at kids' birthday parties?
Yeah.
Mark was?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Well, you should
Fits in with this
You
place.
should not have clowns at your kid's birthday party.
No. There was, I'm trying to think of some of another night where I remember you locking the doors was the night a paid regular threw a woman giving him a lap dance on stage from the audience. So there was one night where two comics were on stage. Don Barris was on the mic and they were getting lap dances from two audience members. And one of those comics threw the other girl off the stage.
And I shut the
Like
door?
just into the audience.
Someone threw a woman?
Yes.
And Benji's like, I got it. Yeah.
I don't remember. Why'd they throw a woman?
There was some crosstalk that wasn't complimentary, let's say.
And
then she charged at him and hit him. And so he picked her up and just tossed her
damn.
off the stage.
Crazy.
Yeah. That was crazy that night. That night I had a lot of weed, and so I went and I hid it in Mitzi's office, which was for some reason unlocked. And then when I went to go get it, it was locked.
Where was Phone's room in like Mitzi's office for you guys? Not Mitzi's office, but where like phone room was the back bar, right?
No, it was the green room. It was the green room of the belly room.
Green room.
Where they locked it off.
Oh,
That was all open. But there was a little door, but it would always be open, and then you could see right into the back staircase.
Yeah, that's all different.
Yeah.
Kind of the same, different.
Yeah, they just put up a door.
Yeah.
I remember when Tony was teaching me how to jerk off in the belly or in the phone chip.
I knew you were young when you started.
Yeah, I was
the
young, dude.
podcast.
Well, he's like, "How do you get away with jerking?" He's like, "Dude, you got to jerk off. Like, these are long shifts." And I was like, "What? How do you not get caught?" And he was like, "All right, so you got to leave the door open. I know it's against everything you want to do because you want the privacy, but here's the thing: you got to be able to hear people walking up the steps.
Yeah.
Because you could hear people walking up the steps, right? So like,
Right.
yeah, there's a whole method to it. That side right here, that's a wall now, was not there.
Yeah.
So you could like, I don't know, it just opened up sound. Like you could hear pretty much the whole building from that room.
Yeah. I was just went in the bathroom. Because you could
Without the
still hear
internet?
people. What?
Without the internet?
No, I would like load the videos on my computer, on my laptop,
Oh,
and
you
then
brought
go
your
into the
laptop.
bathroom.
Man, the libido of a guy in his late 30s compared to that age
I
is.
know.
Can you imagine being horny enough to jerk off in the comedy
monsters.
store
At
at
work?
this age?
Yeah,
No,
no.
way.
Not a chance.
No, and I
I mean,
remember
if I'm
I am
working a
over
double,
it.
maybe.
I was 21 years old, and also it was like I wasn't ever gonna do it until Tony was like doing it, you know. And then I was like, one day I like tried it once, but it's like, you know, once you dabble,
Tony had this
once you
thing-
pop, the fun don't stop.
When we were employees, Tony had a way of telling you that you were doing the comedy store wrong, and you would believe him. He'd be like, "Everyone jerks off at the comedy
Yeah.
store."
Really?
And you'd be like, "They are." He'd be like, "You're not going to be funny one day because you didn't jerk off here enough. Everyone does it." And so you'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah. Did you ever fuck up pretty bad at your job? Like, see, I worked a lot, so I fuck shit up.
Yeah.
That's an
defi-
expensive
Oh
job.
yeah, one time I dented Bill Burr's car, and I just like, it's like, what do? I pretend like that didn't happen? I think that I need to like go immediately and tell him, and I did, and that's what saved me.
Yeah.
He
I
was
did
like,
that too.
"Thank you. My wife actually fucked it up before, and so it's not a big deal." And
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And he wasn't mad, and I was like so relieved. One time, this is like right at the beginning of Louis C.K.'s fame. I had to like pull his car out and turn it around, and it was pretty packed. And he's watching me do a million turns, and I'm sweating, and I like almost hit the post on the side.
That
you
fucking
know,
post.
why is that there?
That does not need to be.
And
But imagine
was
how fucked
really
up the wall
uncomfortable.
would be if the post wasn't there.
I guess.
Like how dinged and chipped
Like
that
an ex-
post is. That would be the wall
Right.
holding the building up.
Dude, I crashed somebody's Corvette into Dice's Denali.
No.
And the dude whose Corvette it was is like gangster. And so I asked Freddie Lockhart, I was like, "What do I do?" And he's like, "Well, you got to just tell Dice." I was like, "What do I do about the Corvette?" And he's like, "You take that to your grave." So I told Dice. Dice was in the Ciro's booth. He was talking with some people, and I came up and I was like, "Dice, I got to tell you, I hit your car." And he looked at me. He's like, "Get away! I don't care." And then later that night, I brought him. He was leaving, and I was like, "Oh, let me show you where I damaged your car." I mean, it was fucked up. And I showed him, and I was like, "I'll pay for it." He's like, "No, you won't." And then he left. He was chill.
Jeez.
And then I remember when the other dude came out and saw his car, I was like, "What the fuck? What happened here?" And I was like, "No, I don't know." Looks like somebody hit it.
somebody jumped off the Ondas.
Oh, jeez. He landed on, right
Landed
in
on
there.
your car. I
And
don't
ran away.
Yeah, they were
not a
like-
scratch on him, but
Dude, the worst was when somebody would watch you pull their car out. Like, dude, one time
I
Sebastian
hated that.
Sebastian had a Jaguar.
he doesn't let anyone touch it anymore. I think he usually just does it
Dude,
himself.
Sebastian had me pull his Jaguar out, and he stood there, and the pressure was on. I just couldn't handle it. So like, I get in his car and I sit down and I look and I accidentally got in his back seat. I'm like, "Where's the steering wheel?" Oh shit! And I slowly look back, and there's Sebastian like, "What the?"
Aren't you embarrassed? Amazing. How, like, did you ever work the lot, Benji?
No, I'm not. I'm too blind I think he saw me and he was like, "You will count money and pick up phones and sell the show." So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I did the back door a couple times, but I hated it. And one of the first
Back
times.
door I loved doing.
Did you have the same shift every week, every day, pretty much? Every day?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. My phones and my.
I did the Triple on Tuesday lot shift. I loved it.
I did that before you.
Oh yeah.
That was the only time you'd get tipped
Yep.
by Norman.
Yeah. Norman Lewis.
Yeah.
Great
and
man.
then any famous comic that came.
Yeah, Phase on Love was really
Yeah,
good.
cool.
Giroux was always just the fucking best. Drew Tillman, shout out.
Drew was
Nice.
Yeah.
He
Really cool.
he ran Trippin' on Tuesday, and I'm telling you, man, if it wasn't for that man and that show, that thing kept the store afloat,
Yeah, for
dude.
sure
People
it
don't
did.
talk about that. People talk about Fat Tuesdays,
right.
but like Trippin' on Tuesday carried it through even darker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
cool.
that no pun. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
Got it.
I don't think anyone. You're fine. They tip. What's the biggest tip that you ever got?
Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah.
And
I was
Chris
never
Rock.
here when he showed
Eddie
up.
Murphy, Chris Rock, and then Charlie Murphy. And so like through that was like hundreds of dollars. Dude, the
Chris
best
Rock, I feel like never parked. I remember every time he came in, he'd park in the red in front.
So one
He's
time-
like, I can afford a parking ticket. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna let somebody fuck my car
So
up.
one time, the meter maid started writing him up a ticket. I was like, "Hey, dude, don't do that. That's Chris Rock's car." He's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "I swear." And he's like, "All right, well, if it's Chris Rock's car, go get him. And if I'm still here writing this by the time he comes out, then I'll put it away." I was like,
That's such bullshit because whenever I've gone up to a parking meter, they're like already started
nothing you
writing
could do.
it. Nothing
Right,
you could
nothing
do.
you could do. So I run in and I tell Chris Rock, and he's at a booth with like Eddie Murphy and all these players. Chappelle was there.
What time is it?
It's like, what do you mean? What time?
What time of day or night is it?
Yeah, it's like, it's during Triple on Tuesday, so it's not like
Okay.
late
Oh,
night.
so it's
you know
like
what I mean?
the show is already
the show's
going.
going.
Okay, got it, yeah.
And so I go and I get Chris Rock, and I'm like, "Hey man, this guy's writing you a ticket." He's like, "I don't care," and he's like, he says he doesn't believe it's you, and he's like, "Oh really?" It's like, "Let's get him." And he gets up and we walk out, and I'm like, "See, told you." And he's like, "Oh shit, can I get a picture?"
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then he gave the cool handshake with the 100 in it. And then later that night, Eddie Murphy came up to the same thing with the handshake and the it was like hundreds in it. It was just a wad. He just handed me. And then his manager tipped me out. So
Yeah, that was the only way you'd let any non-paid regular park here is if they were like, "Here's a tip,"
yeah. I mean,
or if it was like industry somebody like that.
I Venmo the lot guys and girls now.
That's good.
Right? Do you guys?
No.
No?
I'm
you
always
ask us
like,
on the
hey,
air?
I'm always like, when I have money to tip, I'll make up for it, but I don't have money to tip. I'll park my own car. I used to do this. I don't give a shit. I didn't get tipped when I did it. Fuck you.
That's like coming from. I think that's fair. I think that's.
If
fine.
it's like, you know what, I have tipped when it's like horrible in the lot and they got to do a lot of work to get me out. But if it's like my car's right there on the wall, I'm not. What do I need to tip you for?
well, yeah.
yeah,
I can find reasons too, but I don't
Oh,
care.
sure, yeah. No, I'm a cheap Jew. What do you?
Yeah, I
mean?
hear you, dude. I
I had Keenan Thompson come in real low key with like two people, and like he had a hat low, and he was like really not causing. And I was like, he came in through the back because they were like, he says he's a comic, and then I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's right. And he came and he just gave out hundreds to everyone who walked by. Like he was just like, that was,
Oh, yeah.
just like nice. Gave the waitress like 200. Gave the booth guy this. Gave this guy this, and he was just like handing it out. And then he was just chilling the whole night. Very cool, no problems. Very cool guy.
I do that with Welch's fruit snacks.
Equally endearing.
Just the handshake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are around here for sure, but they're like grape only.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like one flavor.
No, you
Welch's.
want the other.
You want the multi flavor.
Yeah,
for sure.
The
The
triple
grape ones
berry.
are good though.
Tropical, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the way I became a door guy because I was doing video. I was seated. It was my first non-video shift. I was seating in the OR, which it was the only time I ever did that because I picked up somebody's shift. And Jeff Danis and Ryan O'Neill were working the back door in the lot, and they had a history with Boone Shakalaka. And Boone propositioned them and flashed them, and they went to the manager at the time, Dean Gelber, and said, "Boone just flashed us. You got to ban this guy."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Can't do it, bro." And so they just left. They just quit. And so I had to seat the OR. Luckily, there was only like 18 people. Do the lot, which there was way, way, way more people coming in to perform than there were actually watching performers.
Yeah.
And do the back door, which was just kind of like, I didn't get to sit. That would have been nice if I got to sit back there.
And so what?
And I was already drunk, so I said
So what
that. I was
happened?
like, Dean, I can't park cars. I'm already drunk. He's like, sorry, bro. We need you, bro. I was like, I'm high too. He's like, I don't care, bro. God, we need you to do it. We lost 2 guys. Meanwhile, like
Management
several
like that.
door guys were just hanging out there. You could have been like, hey, you mind hopping in here?
No one did? Damn. Cold.
Yeah.
Cold.
I mean, it was a sloppier business back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no like. I mean, it was like the inmates ran the asylum.
Very much so. Because
Wild West.
even years later, after we were passed and just hanging out here late at night, the managers would let us hang out here after hours. I remember there were a couple times where audience members like that were friends with comics fell asleep in the club and it would get locked up for the night and they were just in there.
Yeah, all the time. Or homeless people would come by around 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And then just be like, oh, I'm here to hang. I'm a comic. We're like, sure you are. And then they would disappear and fall asleep somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a one of
It would
the
usually be like 2 sleeping people here every night that just disappeared into the darkness to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that?
something like one of the day workers one time. I mean, a girl got drunk here and passed out and set the alarm out because the motion.
I remember, yeah.
And,
I remember that.
So like I don't know why one of the day guys it was his like somebody. I think they probably Juan Carlos. You know Juan, right? He
Yeah.
runs with it. I think.
Well, I don't know where the story's going.
He
but-
gets the call like you got to go, but he couldn't make it or something. So he got one of the workers come out, and then the next day the worker was telling us the story. You know what? Let's not talk about this.
Yeah,
anymore, actually.
I'm trying to tell you.
break,
Like, I'm
but-
trying to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
telling
yeah,
you it's a podcast.
yeah. Let's not. Never
I was
mind,
looking
never
for
mind.
like, little maybe lighters.
We could edit that out, right?
Yes,
All right.
most definitely.
I'm telling you, it was a different time, dude. Like, I mean, the scumbaggery at this place. It's not.
It was wild. It was even like it was way beyond my threshold of comfort for the kind of shit that I saw and experienced.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they stripped me naked one night.
Oh my god.
And they threw my clothes on the roof, and I had to go up there and get it. And then the guy that stripped me naked ran up there and took my clothes and threw them back down. And then he got naked, and then I was just, I'm telling you, man, this was like not a fun place. I mean, it was fun, but it was also so abusive. Like when everybody's
Yeah, this is. Yeah,
I remember when you were doing potluck in the very beginning of your first year. All the door guys would come in,
Yeah.
and start heckling you and throw shit at you.
Oh, yeah, your first few spots, you would just get
Yeah.
abused.
And then I felt. Then this is how abusive this place is. I felt left out because they didn't do that to me.
Yeah, he used to say that because we lived together, and I'd come home and I'd be like crying. And he'd be like, "Dude, at least they like acknowledge you."
I'm like, it's like hazing in a fraternity. They're hazing you. They don't acknowledge me as
That's
part of this
hazing.
place.
Yeah.
And then
That's hazing is
I remember
also-
Ryan O'Neal. He was like the main bully, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so what you would tell me that no, they're hazing you. It's because they want you to be tough and become a great comedian, and it's because they actually like you. And I saw Ryan, and one time he was being a dick, and I said, I know what you're doing, man. You're only doing this because you want me to be tough, and you actually do like me. And he's like, no, dude, I don't like you at all. It's fun torturing you. Just say.
But you could also get away with, when that would happen, destroying the property at this establishment and still not get fired. He punched a hole in the wall. John Little once punched a hole through the wall.
I broke a few headshots. He put a hole in the wall.
Yeah. Tony used to bomb and then throw chairs when he would get heckled.
I broke a
and
thing
then
on the wall
by
once.
the other guys. He would get off stage, and
it was a little thing.
the showroom was so empty that you could pick up a chair
Yeah.
and throw it across the room and not even come close to hitting anything.
Throwing chairs was my favorite part.
Yeah.
That, like
Because
late night, it was the best.
it was just like time to throw chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're each worth $3.
And
throw
Yeah.
And there's no one there,
Sure.
and it's very shocking if
throwing
you're just
chair
one of the
clock.
3 audience
Your
Yes.
members.
broken.
glasses. Like,
Robert William Aprovia would be on stage. We'd just be throwing chairs across the room.
Don would just take a glass and just throw it. Like,
Yeah.
One time we stacked
Terrible.
everything in the OR into this one giant like pyramid, like all the tables and chairs
just
and
like
glasses
that.
and all the way up to the ceiling, and we just left. And then like the next day, Dean was like, "Okay, guys."
I remember at one point, it was like in back, there was like a pile
Such
of
poor
broken
me.
chairs that the maintenance guys were trying to fix.
And you know what? They did a pretty good
They
job
did.
with them.
Oh, they're
They
great.
like
I always
reupholstered
felt-
them and everything.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the real victim.
Those guys, I know, man. It sucks, dude.
Yeah.
They'd have to pick up the pieces from the night before. There was like, oh, it was a mess.
I remember there was one guy that peed on the carpet in the main room.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll happen.
Yeah, poor maintenance guys.
That's why you guys are all you guys are like jaded on stage, but like good, been there. Like you got the battle scar. That's what gives a lot of the momentum to your sets. I see a lot of the time, I think.
Well, I think I mean, for me personally, like I dreamt of this era for the whole time. I mean, like all I wanted was to be a paid regular and the store to flourish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it started to, it's like, this is why I got into it so long ago.
You know, it's funny. I remember people being like, just enjoy this time now. Like Eric
Yeah.
Griffin would be like, just enjoy this time now.
Yeah.
Because you're going to look back on it. And I do miss that time so much. Not that I'm not enjoying my life now. It's just different.
of course.
It was just we were so feral. It was like you'd wake up middle of the day and we'd just all hang out together.
Yeah.
we
We'd
would
smoke
come here
weed and
hang
get
out.
lunch and
We'd come here, yeah.
Yeah, and come here and just hang out even if we weren't working.
If I was on phones, people would come visit. They'd get you lunch.
You guys were living together, and you would just come here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would meet up
Like
here.
we should go to the store, right? Like, yeah, after breakfast.
Or it'd be like, come to the store. I'm finishing up my shift. Then we'll go do something. Or
Yeah.
you would all. Yeah, we were all like friends.
Also, there's just like comedy back then wasn't, as a whole, it wasn't what it is now.
There's so many
Stand-up,
people. It's so popular. Back
Yeah.
then, it was more like weird that we were all these comics, and so we all kind of knew each other really well.
Yeah, there was no other like game in town.
I don't
Back
think it's a
then,
comedy
improv
community.
was so much more popular
Yeah,
than
that's
stand-up.
true.
Were they
Yeah.
selling out
Improv
most
and
nights?
sketch.
Who-
No, it was still didn't
Not
sell out most
the
of them.
improv. Well, the improv,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
But I'm
Oh, you
saying
mean
like
UCB.
if you wanted to do comedy
Yeah, that's
in
true.
2006,
Yeah.
it was a better path for you to take to go do UCB or Groundlings or even
Yeah.
Second City
Second
or
City,
IO than it was to start
Yeah.
doing open mics. Because I remember people I did open mics with that were like, I do improv too. And then immediately I would start seeing them in things. I'm like, oh,
That's how they got hired.
maybe I should have kept doing improv.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just love stand up.
Yeah, same.
And when I would watch guys, when I would watch a Sebastian go up and kill, it's like I just wanted to be. That was
Yeah.
more fun than playing pretend with
Right.
a group of fucking adults.
I didn't go back to that for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I found those
That's
improv
hard to-
circles weren't selective enough, and it's like after I did it for over
Right,
a
they were
year,
too inclusive.
I was like, I want to get around a bunch of killers like me, And then I'm sure, and I wasn't one, but instead
Right.
you'd be improvising. I remember just being like a year and a half into some of those schools and being like, I'm still improvising with like accountants. Like I'm trying to make comedy my life here.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to get over a
Yeah, but I also don't want to like.
Right. I'm not
talk
trying to be
any-
a better public speaker.
Yeah, and it was still that, so that's why I quit that.
I don't want to like connect to like my teammates. I'll tell you what's going on a little
Yeah.
bit. You know?
And
like,
yeah,
hey,
when
it's-
you're young and you start getting good at stand up after sucking for so long, and then you're like, you start drinking your own Kool-Aid, it feels really good. Better than I think improv can feel.
oh yeah, it's like, well, you have so much more control.
Yeah.
You don't have to rely on anybody else up there. I still think
it's just a different like high to chase, and I think we all like that solo. I don't like losing because you lose. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like
it would be a good topic right now, like people getting past when you're a door guy, like the feeling when you watch like other door guys get
Oh,
past,
yeah.
or people that weren't door guys get past.
It was so tough for me because Tommy played games with everybody.
Well, we know where we've been where you've been.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
How long have you been a door guy for?
Since 013. So coming up on
He's like the Van Wilder of door
They're
guys.
gonna
Yeah.
make you do a decade and
Yeah.
pass you, I bet.
fine, whatever. It's my job.
I
Like,
didn't want to
think of it
get
as,
past
my
towards the
job.
end. I didn't want to. I remember getting past. I was like,
what-
eh.
I think I said that before you got here.
What
I was
you
like,
said has something like I get a lot of spots a week. I'm doing good.
you know what?
and
I stopped.
and I can still work the door. I'm getting like it's decent money. Now it's decent. Like I'm
think it's
making groceries.
I think it's
Yeah.
important that
I wish I could go back and be a door guy now.
See, yeah,
Same.
it's like having a bartending job.
And I miss it. I think because I have like
And I'm in the life. It's good.
Yeah.
merchant Jew blood, and so I miss like picking up phones, helping people out. Like sometimes I'll go into like a regular
job is
store.
I enjoy.
I like walked into like a tobacco store the other day, and I'm like, I'm jealous of this Israeli man who gets to sit in a store and pick up phones and charge people things. I sold something on eBay
like a
the other
job
day
with
and
a point, though.
put it in a
It's
box,
nice.
and I was like, I love this.
The
I
work.
really liked. I liked the door. I liked working
Yeah,
here a lot.
Okay.
In a minute.
I mean, I was.
We'll keep talking. Like Benji came in, maybe Sandy has a heart out, but
Kid stuff.
real quick,
Gotta get home and make dinner for my family.
drop
That's where I'm at
where
now.
people can find you online.
I'm
Ass.
at Sandy Danto on all platforms.
Great. So when you leave in a minute or so,
Yeah.
you're all good.
Yeah. This is nice. I'm very rarely here during the day, and I used to be here during the day all the time. I miss that too, Benji. I can relate to that.
I miss it. And like you said, you make grocery money. That's awesome. Like I wish I had something
Oh,
to
that's
do.
why I take the job so seriously because it's like it's a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
To make this place run.
I was the first one to text comics with the veils. I was the first one to do that.
Oh yeah, I used to.
Oh, that's cool.
I
I did it on my own thing. I was like, I just text the guys I like my friends.
That's exactly. Well,
And
yeah,
then
you
Jay
text the good
Mandiam
one.
made it like, I'm going to text people for veils and ask them for things or whatever.
Oh, Jay,
He's,
yeah,
he's
Jay's
a-
notorious. Yeah.
I love Jay, but he's a wheel.
I remember I told Tommy that I texted. He's like,
exactly
well, you
what it is.
didn't call this person. I'd be like, I texted them. He'd be like, don't do that. It's a call. It feels nice. Like they don't pick up.
my job
And I don't want to answer the. Yeah.
every Thursday, because you know how like I don't know if it's like this now, but back then it's like you get the call outs on Tuesday and then there's another wave on Thursday for
Yeah.
the weekends, right?
That's right.
I worked with Tommy for that one on the Thursdays. So like he would make me make the calls to the people that he was scared to give them their shitty spots. So they like I would call somebody be like, is Tommy there? You could hear mad.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I did do some of those too.
Yeah, it's-
it was so annoying. I'm so glad that they.
so funny.
That was annoying, but it's also like, just give us our spots for the whole week, bro. What do you know them for the whole week?
Yeah, not much changes.
Yeah, and then it's really interesting how they want to they seem to want to fit mess with the spots, but they don't really anymore. And I think they're starting to do all week. Have they not?
No, I
recently?
feel like it's been all week for a while.
Yeah, okay.
It
I
has
can't
been
remember
for a few
I
years.
can't remember
yeah.
getting 2 calls.
I used to do when I was phones. I was doing 2 call outs a week, Tuesdays.
Yeah, it
and
was 2
Thursdays.
call outs a week. Yeah, it was.
for sure.
Yeah. I think
watched-
so, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to watch the talent coordinator work too, because we got so close to him. You know what I mean? Like you'd see what was going on in his mind and why he'd make certain choices. And
He really, for all the hate that Tommy gets, he really did put a lot of passion and thought into what he did.
that Tommy actually really cared about
Yeah.
it, and he took pride in being the talent coordinator. And also,
He had a lot
that's-
of faults, but I really did love him.
I don't. Well, I
and-
think this job, no matter who you are getting the job, if you're bestowed talent coordinator of the Comedy Store, it's kind of thankless. I mean,
for sure,
you're
any booker of any talent,
right? Especially the Comedy Store, though,
Right.
because it's so much talent, but you only get to pick a few, and there's so many reasons why you pick these few. And then if you pick anybody, it's like a medication. Like there's going to be a side effect. Somebody
Right.
else is going to lose out, and and you walk these halls, and you don't know who hates you, who resents you. I guess you would know who likes you, but I mean, it's just so
But,
much
yeah.
in the unknown. And Tommy had Tommy really did care, and he loved developing, and he loved testing, like seeing who would go good after what. And it was not just copy and paste.
Right.
Like it was like very much like there was an intention, You know what I mean? Not that there's not now, but I mean, like, it's
No, there definitely is that intention still. I see like people opening and closing different. I see like different, like the 11 o'clock.
Oh, I'm
spots
saying
getting switched
Emily
around.
right now. This is
Yeah.
my best run as a paid regular for
Same.
sure.
Well, there you go.
I'm getting the best spots I got.
Tommy,
man.
there was a time when Tommy really hooked me up.
Yeah, when I first got past.
The first couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Tommy also Tommy nurtured a lot of the people that are huge now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying, yes, was he flawed? Like, yeah, absolutely. We all were. And maybe it was time for him to go. It was time for him to go.
But he was such a character too. Like, there just isn't that at the there isn't that element as much. Everyone is trying to be funny, but there's no one who's like like even Boone Shakalaka doesn't come around here anymore. There's no
I
one
think
that's
he's
like
gone.
like
If he's
Tommy
dead?
was like
Yeah,
funny.
because he just hasn't.
But not necessarily on
character for
purpose.
sure.
As a
Like, he was a
character.
character. Everything he did, getting undressed in front of you to change into his
I think-
cover booth
I think we
clothes,
have a few
like his
still.
little sack lunch that he brought every
Yeah.
time, the way he'd fix his hair in the mirror, all of it.
Playing the
so
guitar
funny.
in the main
playing the
room.
guitar by himself in the main room, wailing. You could hear it anywhere in the building.
Yeah.
all that stuff was so entertaining.
Well, was Richie still working there?
No, when we got here, he had already left.
he had left, but he would come around and
every
hang
now
out.
and then.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the HR department. Stands for Here's Richie. And that's who we get.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple guys that are loopy and still go. I think there's still some characters here, but
Yeah, for sure.
Tom, there's some indelible ones
not
that
like
are
there
not
was.
that
Yeah,
are that are
Dean,
missing.
Tommy,
Oh, yeah, there's-
Jeff Scott, we're missing.
Jeff
That's a
Scott,
big one.
yeah.
Brody Stevens.
Potluck
we're
was
missing.
also twice a week. It's only
I talk
once
about
a
them
week
all the
now.
time.
Right.
And the format was a little different
Robert
where
Williams still around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Potluck twice a week used to give you so many characters, and there was an intention to put up all sorts of random, but
Half
not
the
just.
potluck
Well, yeah.
list was
Now-
ding dongers, literal
Yeah.
ding dongers.
Yeah.
Now, like 7 o'clock, it's packed. 7 o'clock,
Yeah.
the show starts. It's packed.
Yeah.
It's just that's how because it starts that time, so people think it's the Comedy Store, and they come at that time, and they see the open mic, and then they see friends and family. But they've started selling a new wave of tickets at 9:30. Say like 2 for 1 or like free, and they repopulate the room for
nice.
the paid reg. So it's
Oh,
been.
yeah.
I mean, it's just been. So it's not like a lot of weirdos you want to put up like killers. Yeah.
Right. No, this is the Comedy Store's a tight ship now.
You know what? Towards the end of our door guyness, potluck started to get a little bit more full.
Yeah, I mean it was it was horrible and weird.
It was usually, I remember it being like, it's Memorial Day weekend. This Monday's going to
Yeah.
be like a Sunday. And this
Yeah.
Sunday's going to be like a, like
Yeah.
those Sunday, Monday spots were just like all you really had. So we like,
But they were fun too.
they would
Like,
often
after
be fun.
we had
They
been
would
doing
often
it
be
for a
fun.
few years.
Yeah, they were fun.
Who was coming in
And weren't
what kind
horrible?
of people? What kind of tourists are like? Was it
Oh,
all
stoic Eastern Bloc type people a lot.
A lot of Australian tourists,
Yeah.
Canadians.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Canadians,
Not locals.
yeah.
And potluck, I
No
don't,
LA
Sometimes.
people.
One time I did potluck, and the guy who went on before me has a famous son, and he bombed, and I made fun of him right out of the gate, and they just were. He brought all his friends to watch his dad, and I just bombed so hard, and they heckled me, and it was very uncomfortable.
one time a celebrity son was doing stand-up comedy during the open mic while I was hosting, and I had a current celebrity, wasn't a celebrity at the time. I had her queef over all his punchlines that didn't land on a side microphone. Because she could queef on command.
Wait, the current celeb? Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I know
yeah.
who. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to out her.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I doubt she'd care, but it's just.
Yeah.
You hosted pretty mean, huh? Willie
I would, yeah, but I didn't
host
know
all the
I didn't
time.
fully know that I was mean.
All
It
right.
took me. I didn't understand.
That
when
didn't
we
tip
did
you
when
off.
we did potluck,
What didn't tip me off?
fucking with people and like doing the.
I thought it was them.
when we
I thought it was on them.
did potluck, the hosts were so mean to
Yeah.
us. So mean to us because they felt they needed to gain a trust with the audience and be like, that was terrible, right, guys? And they were really funny. They were mean but really funny.
Yeah.
And so when we
Jeff
hosted,
Danish,
that's what
Ryan
we
O'Neal.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
it.
gotta
But
say-
Nick
Danish
Yusuf
O'Neal.
also really was mean when he
He was mean
hosted,
also.
too.
This guy's the youngest openly gay comedian we have working here.
Well, 'cause what happens-
what's his name? O'Neal would be like Like this guy is the worst door guy that works here, and I don't mean as a door guy. As an employee, he's great. Like he shows up on time, he does his job. I'm seeing strictly stand-up comedy.
Didn't they have a contest like you versus somebody and
Benj.
Whoever did
That was when
worse
he
got
punched the
fired
door,
or
yeah.
something?
No,
No
that's
one
not.
got
I didn't
fired.
punch it that time.
Oh, okay.
I did like leave though.
Yeah, they just get on the side mic and heckle us.
Yeah.
Or once I was like 5 minutes late, and Ryan was like, "You got to go up with your shirt off because you're late." So I had to do my spot with no shirt on.
And you got to know, like Ryan O'Neal was
terrible.
Ryan O'Neal.
I did it, and absolutely, I was like, "Of course, yes, I'm late. My shirt will come off, Ryan. So sorry."
Ryan O'Neal was like the king of the bullies. You know what I mean?
But they were funny.
Problem,
But
They
they
were
were
funny.
so funny. Like I would walk off stage
They
crying
crushed.
but laughing.
the problem, yeah, that's the problem. Ryan O'Neal is so fucking funny. Like he would destroy making fun of you, and then it's just like, all right, you got the light. You better tell a joke, and then it's like, I got, and there's nothing, dude.
Because it's a 5-hour show. So what happens is anyone. This is what would
Did paid
happen.
regulars go up on it or no?
Sometimes they would
They
pop
pop
in
in.
and bump everybody and do as much time as they wanted occasionally.
The type of host who would try potluck hosting and go up there and be like, "I'm going to be really nice about everybody, blah, blah, blah." Hour and a half in, they'd be like, I can't do this anymore.
it was horrible.
And then because the audience doesn't trust you, if between every
Yeah. So
bomb fest, you go, "Give it up for so-and-so." So
I feel like when we co-hosted Potluck, that was a really
Oh,
fun
yeah. We would
and
keep it
even
loose.
environment because we would be mean, but
I
we'd
feel like I
also
remember
be
that.
nice.
yeah, I would host and co-host with I would have like
Yeah.
a friend co-host with me for a
That's
little bit.
right.
Because you need to break it up.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I was
a
mean
duo
because
running the show is pretty cool.
it was fun.
But then you and Tony sort of took over for Danis and O'Neill.
Right.
And the Potluckers
Hated us.
you guys.
I always thought in my head, I was like, I'm trying to be funny. And if they just think I'm mean or they're angry, I don't understand. Like, don't you know I'm trying to be funny? Yes, I'm being mean to you. But I thought every comic understood that it was all fun and games. And so I didn't understand.
Right.
Outside of that, I didn't understand that it wasn't okay to be
But
mean
also,
to
you
people.
weren't like malicious or cruel. Maybe I remember a few times maybe Tony was, but like you just made fun of them and they just
Right.
lumped you two together.
Right.
And it was just sort of, I mean, you guys were still funny. If somebody bombs, it hurts. And then if you get made fun of for that, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to be like,
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
I bombed, but they're funny.
And you know how
what they said hurt
well-adjusted
my
we all
feelings,
are.
but they're funny. And it's a show. And then not everybody can do that. And other people are like, fuck that person. They're kicking me while I'm down. They're a bad person. I don't care what they said. It's not funny to me. And that's
had a
just how it
couple of
goes.
those come back on me. It's not pleasant, but you go, I was
would-
feeling that in the moment. I'm sorry.
I would usually only be like a little mean to if someone was consistently doing bad. If it was like an employee who week after week did bad, I think the meanest thing I would do would usually just be like, "All right, guys, so this next person usually does terrible." Like I would just kind of do
Yeah.
that, and it was just my way of being honest, and that would be enough to make them angry. But that didn't necessarily bury anybody.
yeah.
I don't
No, that
think.
kind of set people up to do even better.
Yeah.
Because
sometimes.
stakes were
And then you
lowered.
get to put it on the audience. You
Stakes
go,
are
"I
lowered,
told you
yeah.
guys.
Right.
I said be nice. He's not that good, and you guys weren't." Like,
Yeah,
not on
so that's
yeah.
a little kicking him after
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, O'Neal will do that to me. Is like, if anybody needs to use the restroom, now's the time. and then he'd get back on after me, and he's like, "What'd I tell you?" Yes.
To Renee,
Mr.
sometimes
Window.
it's usually to Renee. I'll go, Renee, nice try, buddy. All right, next comment and do a nice try. That's a fun.
You
one.
guys, your rooms are so packed and full and good. And when I walk in there during potluck, it's like you guys are like having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
It's night and
Yeah,
day.
we didn't
from-
have that, so you had to be mean
Everyone's doing
or
A material.
honest.
Yeah, it's
And it is a
And-
dick move in an awesome room to put someone down, but that wasn't what we were dealing with.
Yeah, I should probably leave. All right. I wanted to.
It's okay.
This is so much fun. Can we do this again sometime?
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
That's a no. All right. I've been rejected
do
enough.
it for
I
a
get
while.
it.
Yeah, in a while. I'll have you back in a while.
All right.
All right. Cool.
We can't just do this every week.
No, I can't have you every week. I'm sorry. I do a show that's different. This is a very special episode.
How do you think
This is
show
good.
business works, dude?
I obviously don't know. I don't.
Later, Sunday.
get it. Bye, guys. Love you.
See, bro.
Well, I think we got more than an hour, but Tony's gonna have to do a lot of editing. No, we got some time. Who's your favorite like old school bomb, like everyone didn't like them, but you kind of liked them? Do you have one of those guys? Like I always had like Barry Diamond. I thought was terrible, and like, but some part of me just went, "That's funny." Like someone like that, you know what I mean?
Someone I like that no one else liked.
Yeah, or like who would all time bomb that you would laugh at?
I don't like watching bombing. I'm not like one of those guys. I know some people think like they love it.
I like some people. I don't like everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have someone like that.
No, I have like different like paid regulars from that era that I really like. To even now, if only they knew how I like look up to them. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that.
Okay, well
Like-
that's a more positive spin on. Like who's a all time? Yeah, I asked a bad question. What's an all time like good like underrated your dark horse?
Of the store, like
Yeah.
a very store person.
Like I would
When
say
we were
Steve.
door guys-
I would say Steve Simone is
Well,
my
yeah.
dark horse. He's like no one. He's great and like
I don't. Well, it sucks because he's underrated as a whole in comedy. He should be fucking famous.
That's right.
But I think he's rated properly amongst us, like store people, because we all know how great.
I like
Simone
that. I really like that.
I think there's still a lot of talented people here who, aren't quite at where, like you said, Simone. Like that's a good example. Like Simone is a masterful comic, a masterful storyteller.
Well, you guys don't get John Caparulo. Like John Caparulo was like the heavyweight champion of the Comedy Store for a
At that
little while.
time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
he would just lay it down.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
would crush.
not 100% consistent.
How long would he do? I remember he was here and Tommy would give him a 30-minute spot.
Yeah, and I think I don't think that was really good in the end for John.
But he did that for other people too, though. He would give people 30 minutes.
Very rarely.
Yeah, but Cap kind of became a regular thing, and
Right. Yeah.
you know, Cap wasn't the most. So that's kind of like the way I modeled myself as a paid regular to Door Guys. Now I try to remember like, you got to be cool. You got to be cool. You got to be cool to the Door Guys. You got to be supportive and stuff. And Cap, as much as I loved him as a fan, he was kind of cold.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't get to know the Door Guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he was great. Nobody really would talk about him anymore.
I would kind of give it to Jeff and Ryan. I think when I first got here, I thought Jeff and Ryan were the Danis and O'Neill. I thought they were the funniest paid regulars here, and Brody.
They were already a paid regular.
They were paid regulars, but they would go up late.
They were already a paid regular.
They were mostly just doing potluck hosting, but I knew how hard it was to host that potluck show, and they would crush.
Were they paid regular working the door? Or
What's
no?
that?
Were they working the door at that time? Or-
Not at that time. No.
Okay, they were already.
Yeah.
They had already done.
Yeah, and they were consistently just the hosts, and I was very, and they're still really funny.
How old are
like
they?
if you look at their podcast, like those guys can slay. They're very charismatic, funny
Oh, for
guys.
sure. Every
I
time
would
they're
give
on
it to
stage,
Jeff
I
and
laugh.
Ryan.
I never don't laugh when I see either of them.
Oh yeah, they're great. And you know, like
I like
later
their double act.
in later years, you know, Ryan O'Neill's like a friend of mine now. Like he's not like a bully to me. Of
course.
And I honestly think he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like those guys really are. They had different powers too. Like Ryan is just very funny and witty. Well, they're both witty, but he's just quick, you know, and like he's just a funny, silly guy. But Jeff had these great impressions, man. He could like do characters and like there's a lot of talent between them. Yeah, very underrated. I would put those guys up there as two of the most underrated paid regulars.
Who else were you working with? You were working with, was Jesus Trejo working with you?
Yeah, he came in. I remember when Jesus started stand up.
Jesus, Francisco Ramos,
Me and Francisco
Tony
got
Hinchcliffe.
hired around the same time. Francisco was like my first friend in comedy.
Oh.
Yeah, I met him at the Laugh Factory. But that's a different podcast.
I trained a lot of guys on phones.
Hell yeah. Nice.
I think I trained Adam Ray, Rick Glassman, and Aristotle on phones.
Yeah. Those guys were around.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But they would just there were a lot of guys back then who just did one. So there would be guys who didn't want to have to do the door thing here because I feel like that came with a stank. And
But
so
they
there were a
wanted-
lot of guys who did one phone shift, and then that was their way of being like, oh, I get all the perks of Sunday, Monday, and I work here, but no one really, it doesn't feel that way.
Sure.
But we were the grinders. I'd say the guys who were here really working, like day after day long shifts where like me, Matt, Tony, and Madonia were probably doing 85% of the hours here were me, Matt, Tony.
I mean, I was the youngest guy in the building for a few years. I never went to college, so it was like this was like to like
When did you start work? What age did you start working here?
I was 21. It
Yeah.
wouldn't even allow people in, and like when I think Brenton might have been the next guy to come who was younger than me. But before that, so like all my time was spent here.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like if I were to give any advice to door guys now, I'd tell them, and I don't think they do it now. I think you guys are more wiser. And well, comedy's in such a different place, but like you also have to not only be here. Back then there was not
100%.
another
Yeah,
there was not
that
another
comes
game in
up
town.
here.
And like and you know what? Some of the paid regulars that weren't that good, to be honest with you, and they weren't like probably don't even really do stand up anymore.
Yeah.
They all had this like gang mentality about the Comedy Store. It's like, fuck the factory, fuck the improv, fuck UCB. It's about the store. Like it's like this weird cult thing. And I think it rubbed off on a lot of us because we're so, at least me, I was so impressionable, so young.
Yeah.
And I would say like, there's a whole world of comedy out there, and it's like beautiful. And you could, the store is a great place to be, to have as a home and like, come back. But also the word home, you got to be careful because people get too comfortable.
Sure.
I've seen people fuck their shit up just because they were just too comfy, didn't know they crossed boundaries.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And
I feel like when I was young, I didn't get enough out of this place to have that mentality. I think the people who
So you had a healthy separation a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think the people who are here and get a lot out of it, like Tommy Tommy did a lot more for you than he did for me. Yeah. Not to say he didn't help me out. I like Tommy, but I didn't get enough out of this place to feel like safe ever. I've never felt safe. Even when I was on TV, I'm like, this is going to be over any day. You just see. Wow. So I was always trying. I was no one's darling. It wasn't like that meant I was in at other clubs, but I never felt like I could depend on this place. I still don't. I'm still grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly grateful because I'm like, I know how many people there are out there who are funnier than me. Yeah, so I'm very grateful. But at the same time, I never feel like I got my balls powdered here. Maybe there were points when I was like on TV and stuff where it was
you had a little bit more.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You had some steam for a little bit. You were doing some
steam.
good. Yeah, you were doing the good middle spots and really crushing in there.
Yeah.
There was a turn for you. You got mad one time, and that was your like new.
Oh
thing.
yeah, I did my mad moment.
You were, and then
Dude.
suddenly you were a brand new comic, and you fucking firing on a lot of stuff.
Yelling at
it
everyone.
was
That was
bad.
cool.
I mean, bad in a way that it was captivating. I mean, we would all come in and watch because Benji would like
He's
tell
so
your
smart.
bitch girlfriend to shut the fuck up and faggot.
I didn't say that. I would never say that.
We'll cut that shit. But dude, you would say
Make a note on that,
You would
huh?
say anything. You would say anything.
I went crazy for a couple months.
And then he got a TV show and he had to pump the brakes a little bit.
I was also tired of yelling and being negative.
Yeah.
When it works, it's awesome. It's like
Yeah.
so good. But when it doesn't work,
It
I'm
worked
just
like the first few times, and then I think I
caught
saw
fire.
it not work, and you were like, "Okay, well, what next?" Okay,
I remember
but you had it there. You got it.
I remember having a moment where I was in the men's room and I could hear Holtzman yelling on one stage while Brody was yelling on another stage.
In
And
stereo.
I was like, I think maybe the world doesn't need more yelling.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
Go back to being.
But where what I miss about Brody a lot, and I say all the time, but whatever, I'll say it again, is the positive energy. Where negative energy, like he had, it's.
I miss the sounds. I remember when he first died, at the few, like maybe the month or couple months after that, it was like you could tell something was missing from the story because it sounded different around here. Because he's so loud, you could hear him down the hall, you could hear him in the back, you could hear him just around talking to people, saying, and like when that went away, it was like jarring at how like, it's just sonically the store has changed now.
Brody was probably the biggest inspiration to all of us because Brody, in his own way, when we were younger door guys, I'd say before his first mental breakdown, the big one, he was kind of like a big deal to us. Like he had this cool Chelsea Lately gig. He's in cool movies.
Yeah.
He's been on these shows. He's had a Comedy Central Presents. He's done like all those things meant a lot back then. And he was still there at 2 a.m. hanging out with us on a Tuesday. So and he was crushing, and he was cool, and he was cool.
Was
at
he
the
always
Eastsiders.
closing?
No, not at all.
You get like prime spots.
Yeah, no, Brody would get good spots, and Brody would crush, and to me, he was my biggest influence because he really exemplified the original room.
Yeah.
Because he stayed in the moment, he was present, he had jokes, but he was still riffing, and he was sort of embracing the energy of that weird room. And so, yeah, I think, he would engage us more than anyone else. And he would give us advice when we were young comics. He would take us on weird road gigs.
That's something he told me.
Would really help us and inspire us to do what Matt was just saying. He was like, "You got to get out of here.
Yeah.
It's dark. You got to go to UCB. He was pushing us
Go to New York.
He was an alt guy. He was an alt comic.
Yeah.
Yes, he was an art
Yeah,
comic.
sure.
Yeah.
Whose home was here, and he went to everywhere else all the time.
And at the time, there was dark energy here, and most people were like, "Tell the audience they're stupid,
Right.
blah blah
He goes,
blah, don't
"You
blah blah
get
blah."
it.
And instead, he was positive, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And he was the opposite of what all these dark energies who were failing here,
that's
who are
right.
now nobodies. He was kind of saying, "You don't have to be that way." And another thing Brody would do is at the time, and I'm sure you did it too. You were in Groundlings. When you're a young comic, you're probably in improv classes. Brody really
Totally.
exemplified all the rules of improv as a stand-up simultaneously. So as I was studying stand-up comedy here and studying improv at improv schools, I saw this guy who was like emotional rule of improv, heightening rule of improv. He always heightened and whatever.
Not denying.
Yeah, always saying yes.
Saying yes.
He always said yes. He never cursed. He would always say, "They curse too much. I don't curse."
I'm
Sometimes he
Christian.
would a little bit.
He would go.
but not-
He would go. Son of a bastard.
Yes, that was another rule of improv. At improv
Yeah.
class, you couldn't curse. And so he was able to sort of exemplify, and then with all the crowd work, it was naturally improvisational. So he exemplified all the rules of improv while simultaneously doing all the what's the word I'm looking for? The what? The alchemy of an original room stand-up show where you have to be present and all the things.
yeah.
And so, yes, Jeff and Ryan are great, but also I think Brody, to me, when people would always sell you like on the OR and you got to be able to do this, if you're store comic, you're strong, and blah, 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 all that bullshit that I don't really believe in.
Yeah.
Brody was actually that to me. And obviously the other guys like Barris and people who really embody the place, but for me, it was Brody because it was to make it and do well. Like Tommy would always say, he's like, "We're building stars here. If you don't have star power, like we don't need you. I don't care if you're funny." Like Mitzi was trying to build stars. Right. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent here, but
I love it.
It's good podcasting. Don't interrupt yourself. I host by not hosting. You know what I mean?
But I think Brody had that energy, and he was at the time, in a way, kind of a star. He was in the biggest comedy. He was on the Chelsea Lately show at the time when we were young comics was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he was doing all those
Did she
things.
have 5-minute spots on her shows for a stand-up or no?
No, she didn't do that. No, just being on the panel was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And he was there every day, also doing the warm-up.
Yeah.
And back then there was no podcasting, so even having any job like a warm-up gig was a big deal.
Yeah.
Even now it'd be like, oh well, that's not like that big of a deal. But
What's going on?
just checking.
You're checking. Is that Matt's phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're checking Matt's phone for him. That's nice.
No, I was checking to see what time it was.
Do you have a favorite room here, just either to work or to perform in, or that just is?
The original room.
Yeah, that's mine.
I mean, I think the main room, if you are propped up nicely, is super fun. So
Yes,
I've
a lot
learned the
of fun.
difference now because I used to get prime main room spots.
Yeah,
And
right.
when you're in a prime sold out main room
You're like
show,
third or fourth.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But what happens is you start going up late in the main room all the time. Or really early, you're like, I don't like it in here. It's like, no, it's done. You missed the moment to have a lot of fun in here.
I think I love.
I would
those-
go main room.
I love Prime main room is great. That's a quick second, but there's something nostalgic about the OR. You know what it is now? So I've been a paid regular like 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
And but sometimes when I'm up there in the OR, I remind myself. Like it reminds me of when I was a door guy watching a paid regular that I really liked. Like I feel like sometimes I feel like Cap, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that I could kind of almost see the perspective of the younger me in the back.
We're watching.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, so like it's
Sorry,
like
I'm not funnier.
Hey, aren't we all? You're doing great though, Benj.
Thanks.
like being on the other.
I wish I could be to you what Dove Davidoff was to me.
Yeah.
And
Well, Duff Davidoff was one of our headliners, but what? Sorry, Matt.
I was just gonna say that like now being on the other side of that,
Yeah.
and it's like the OR kind of like reminds me the most of like the Comedy Store and being young and wanting it so bad. When I'm in the main room, because the main room's great. It's super
I think
great,
that's
but
the belly room
it's
to a
also-
lot of the guys who are young to me think about, because that's how I think about the ORs. I think Comedy Store, because I think bring her in the main room.
Yeah.
But now guys are like, oh, that belly room, like that's cool, Comedy Store. So some people like that one.
Well, the belly
because
room was something I always got to do though.
right, but they did, but like that was their first like official Comedy Store development spot, getting
Sure.
into like the showcase of the
Yeah, I just remember like sitting in the back and just being in awe of the paid regulars and like not like knowing that maybe one day I'd be able to do that, but like it was so impressive. You know, I remember I brought I had broken my hand and I had to get hand surgery and then therapy for it. And in therapy there was the lady that ran the therapy, she wanted to have her office's holiday party there, and I like set it up for her.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
a bunch of tickets.
Terrible,
Super
yeah.
cool. But I knew like it would be so dope because they'll get to see how like again it's the secret, right? It's like this magical place, and this was for like a Friday, so it was packed. It
Yeah.
looked good, and I remember like watching them laugh at the paid regulars, like watching them laugh at the show, like hunched over, like they weren't ready for it to be that funny. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what to expect. But when
Yeah.
they got there, it was like way more than they thought. And I'm like, yeah, just like I remember being like, man, I hope I could do that for people. Like watching Dove. I remember that night specifically seeing Dove
Sure.
up there just.
He was a killer, man. I miss him coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, Dove's great.
Tommy would also do this thing where he would be like, the late Saturday show, he'd be like, well, this is our young, cool show. And so he would book that Saturday late show,
Yeah.
those Saturday OR shows to be like his version of cooler.
Yeah, yeah.
That meant opening with Kevin Christie.
Yeah.
They always opened with Kevin Christie because Kevin was so
He
cool.
still
and funny.
doesn't do any other spots, but he is maybe our strongest, best opener. Maybe.
Yeah.
Kevin Christie?
Yeah.
He's the best way to start a show.
Yeah.
He still comes around here?
Oh yeah, he's here like Saturday. He opens.
Nice.
Usually,
Good to
that's
know.
it. Either Friday or Saturday, he's on.
Nice.
Open it.
Haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
Funny dude.
Yeah.
Really good writer. You know, he held the record of like most booked like
Commercials. Or no.
no, like in TV, like most like guest spots in TV. Like he would get like little roles
Yeah.
constantly. He was like just a great
Someone shared an old Taco Bell commercial
Yep.
in the group chat.
Dude,
with
that-
it on the go.
So
yeah.
it's so funny because when I was in high school, that commercial came out, and my buddy Taylor looked just like him. So everybody would do that to him. And then I got, years later, one day I got to see them together.
Wow.
Yeah, I brought Taylor, and it was like, I was like, wow, this is.
It's a big deal. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, you have no idea what this
It's
means,
Hollywood,
Kevin.
man.
And Kevin's just like, yeah, no, it's cool, but like, no, you don't know, man. This comes from high school.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for being on a very special episode of the Doorcast. I appreciate you coming on. Benji, where can people find you online?
At Benji Aflalo.
And on Hulu, still streaming Alone Together? Or,
Yeah, it's there, yeah.
Check out Alone Together. It's a good show.
Thank you.
Matt Edgar, where can people find everything?
On Instagram, I'm at Matt Edgar. Matt has one T in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I may, on December 18th, when does this
Perfect.
come out? Does this come out before then?
Yes, that'll be before
Great.
then.
December 18th at the Virgil.
Sick.
I'm throwing the first ever emo comedy night.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, a bunch of comedians that came up listening to emo and
Good.
And like
Story, yeah, themed, like
they don't have to tell. It's not like necessarily they're gonna have jokes about
It's
it.
just
They
emo
could,
comics.
but it's like
Yeah.
and it's like everybody.
Phillips
The
is-
silver lining in the room is everybody knows that everybody likes. So who knows
it's
where
already-
it could go?
yeah.
So,
Very
yeah,
cool.
That's
December
just-
18th. What day of that?
That is December 18th. That's on a Sunday. It's at the Virgil.
Who are the
And,
emo comics? Like Joel Jimenez?
What?
Joel?
I haven't really fully booked it yet.
But
I got
it'll
some
be a good
people in
lineup.
mind. It's gonna be a good lineup. I have a few people.
It's just
confirmed.
Matt alone cutting himself on stage. He's like, it's emo night.
You guys want to talk? You guys want to talk about girls?
I'm at Luke Does Stuff on Twitter. I'm on Instagram too. Rate and review the podcast if you want. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I'll see you at the door. All right, bye.